Hey there, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are joining us from here around the world. I hope everybody is doing well, and we will get started here with our local sales automation bonus presentation in just 1 minute. We'll give everybody a chance here to jump on and join us. Still got people coming in pretty fast, so we'll give it a minute. How is everybody doing today? Yes, I will be recording and sending a link later, Rodney. Yes, absolutely. Tenny, missing the snow yet? No, sir. Chi-Chi, good evening. Where are you at? Mark, thank you very much, Mark. I'm enjoying California. Yeah, very much enjoying London. Very good, Chi-Chi. Nice to have you join us from London. Mark says you moved here from Texas and love it. Yeah, it's pretty darn nice. Pretty hard to beat being able to go to the beach every day. So I am enjoying it. My wife told me I need to stop posting these Facebook posts of me bragging about how nice life is in San Diego, or people are going to hate me. And I told her, honey, haters are going to hate. And she gave me that look like only my wife can. Like, what the heck are you talking about? Shut up. So she is probably right. She usually is. All right, let's go ahead and get rolling here. I hope everybody's having a great week. We got just a little bit of your week left, so I hope you can wrap it up strong and have a very nice weekend. So let's jump right into it. Local sales automation. I think that's a very important topic, and one that I think does not get enough attention right now in the industry, because people are still, for the most part, kind of, I'd say the majority of the industry is still trying to figure out just how they get their legs underneath them at all, right? How do I get, the business going? Which products am I going to sell? Things like that. And so they're not focused on some of the more strategic issues that are possible with their businesses. And one of the most strategic things that you can do at your business is clearly to develop a sales force, whether or not you do that as full-time employees or part-time employees or 100% commission sales reps, independent contractors. However you manage to do that, building a sales force is a very strategic opportunity at your business. So today we're going to cover: 1, do you need salespeople? 2, pros and cons of local sales automation from my perspective. Getting ready for salespeople, compensation models that work, and then managing so that you can keep your shirt. So do you need salespeople? Yes. If you want to have a real business, you'll need salespeople. Now, what do I mean by that? I use that term real business, and I like to make sure people know what I mean by that. If you want to develop any sort of kind of local agency that is big enough that you're going to have some freedom of time and schedule, because you can actually step away from the business and it's going to keep on working without you. If you want to have a good sellable asset, a good sized business that's a sellable asset, to me, those things are what constitute a real business. If you're going to do that in this industry, you will need salespeople, okay? You cannot be the only breadwinner at your business. And if you are not able to develop a business where you can prove that other people can be the breadwinner, it will be very hard to eventually sell that business. Because why would I buy a business if I believe that the person who currently owns it is the only person that can actually generate any sales, right? That's a very scary proposition for somebody looking to buy a business. They would much rather find a business where it looks like, oh, geez, you just recruited that guy off the street and now he's generating, X thousands of dollars a month every month in revenue. And, we could do that 10 times over. Great. So if you want to have a real business, yes, in this industry, you will need salespeople. Can you develop a personal income in this industry without having salespeople? Absolutely. Okay, so you've got to get clear about what you want, and determine the level of effort and kind of the strategic decisions that go along with getting what it is you want. Okay, so benefits of salespeople: you're going to have more contacts with prospects. Okay, Montel says he wants both. Perfect, Montel. Benefits of salespeople: you're going to have more contacts with prospects. Obviously, if you got 10 people out there selling versus one, right? Major benefit here is that you're going to have someone selling all the time. Okay, right now, if you are kind of the sole operator or the sole breadwinner at the company, you've got all kinds of other things to do to manage your business, right? You've got time spent, dealing with client fulfillment issues, time spent meeting with clients, time spent doing paperwork and dealing with your accountant or whatever it is. So that's lots of time that is not dedicated to selling. Okay, if you have salespeople out there, that's their sole job, is to sell. Okay, number three, they may be better at selling than you are. Okay, oftentimes the person who started the business is the best person to sell because they're the ones that had the passion for the idea in the first place. They're the ones obviously that have to make the money come in to put food on the table. So oftentimes that business owner is the best salesperson, and oftentimes the business owner is naturally a salesperson, right? Lots of entrepreneurs just kind of are naturally salespeople, but there are also oftentimes that I've seen where the entrepreneur really is not that good of a salesperson. They're not that comfortable with it. And you can go out there and you can find a professional salesperson that's what they want to do. That's what they love to do. And they can do it much better than you. So that may be the case. Number four, salespeople allow you to enter new markets, right? So let's say that, you're selling right now in, San Diego and you want to go into Denver. Well, you can more easily go into Denver if you can find a salesperson there in that market that knows the market already has contacts, all that good stuff, and can hit the ground running. And number five is just overall, just growth in general. Okay. You are, going to have a bigger growth engine the more salespeople that you have. Okay. When I first got into selling to small businesses, I made a very big concentrated study of the companies that have sold successfully to small businesses and how they did it. And there's not that many companies that have sold to small businesses really well and achieved scale at it. You can probably count the number that have on both of your hands. In terms of small business to business sales. So companies like Paychex, ADP, Intuit. Yeah, I'm already having a hard time coming up with more. I mean, Reach Local is doing a great job, right? They're $450 million company or so. But I mean, Microsoft, you could argue, although they didn't really do B2B sales, they had distributors selling their software via their own sales forces selling the computers and stuff. So, but there's just really not that many, and the ones that have invest a huge percentage of their resources into salespeople. And in fact, if you study up on the history of Paychex, which that was one of the companies that I studied most, Paychex, their number one factor for growth was how many salespeople do we have out in the field selling, and it makes sense. That's the growth engine. Okay, so that's the benefits of salespeople. The downsides of salespeople can be very hard to find good ones. Okay, good ones are already out there making good money selling whatever they're selling. So you usually don't just find a good salesperson just bumbling around on the street, right? Looking for a job. So number two, it's hard to keep good ones. Good ones have lots of opportunity. and they know that they're worth a lot of money. So they are, they're oftentimes easily lured into another opportunity by somebody who can give them a bigger paycheck. Salespeople can be a real serious pain in the butt. They can be, kind of prima donnas, big egos, and that's part of just dealing with them. The great thing about a really good salesperson is they know exactly what they want and they just absolutely go for it until they get it. That can be a real pain in the neck when you're trying to manage them, right? Because they're trying to go out and get a deal signed and you've got some sort of roadblocks in their way and they're just coming and knocking on your door and calling you and texting you and emailing you constantly going, Mike, I need you to do this so I can get this deal done. Come on, what do we need to do? Let's get this freaking deal done. Why does it have to be, this way? Why can't it be that way? Let's change this. Let's change that. I just need to, get the deal done, right? So the fantastic thing about them is they can just have those blinders on and just be focused on the money. And the downside, like I said, is they can, be a pain in the neck. And they can be very expensive, right? Whether you're getting it right or you're getting it wrong in terms of bringing on salespeople and managing them, it can be very expensive. So they are expensive as in their compensation when they work. They are expensive as in it's always expensive to bring on the wrong person and have to replace them. Okay. So what I liked about local sales automation, I thought it was a good overall structure to follow. And I thought that they gave you some good templates and processes and things like that to follow. And the concept of 100% commission sales reps, I think, is an eye opener for a lot of people in terms of, oh, okay, I can make that work. So I really like, all those things about the product. The holes that I thought that, well, in a way, it kind of made it just sound a little too easy, right? So I feel like they left out some really, really important things about what you need to do to make sure you're ready for those salespeople in the first place. Because there may not be anything worse that you could do for your business than bring on a whole bunch of salespeople if you are not ready. Okay, so that to me was a big hole, and look, it was it's hard to know in any product where to start and where to leave off, right? I mean, this is a huge topic that those guys could have spent, you could spend months on this topic, right? So, to me, these are some of the things that I want you guys to know about before you go and start following local sales automation, start following their process for getting salespeople. These are just kind of those, hey, here's your pre-flight checklist. All right, make sure you got these things checked off before you go do that. Compensation strategies. I personally think that their compensation strategies in this were off. I'll just say it like that. I do not agree with their model for compensation, and we'll talk about why here. And then 3, just some management strategies, right? I mean, once you get those salespeople on, you've got to have management strategies to make sure you don't lose your shirt. And what I mean by that is, what I fear and I hear from a lot of people kind of in their tone is, oh, because I'm bringing on 100% commission salespeople, I don't have to worry about anything. Like, they don't cost me any money. And so I just, bring on as many of them I can, and hopefully some of them get deals. My experience is that is a very dangerous way to think if you're trying to build a business long term. Okay. Reason why is if you just have a bunch of people just out running around representing your brand, and you don't have any management around that, you can very quickly do some serious reputation damage to your business. And you can also very seriously just find some other challenges here that very quickly find some other challenges that we're going to talk about here in just a bit. So those are the holes. That's what I'm going to try and fill for you here in this webinar. So getting ready for salespeople. Let's talk about that first. Again, this is your pre-flight checklist. And why do I think this is so important? Well, again, If you get salespeople before you're ready, you will lose your shirt. Okay, you can have a complete loss of control of your brand and your messaging if you have a bunch of 100% commission sales reps that you just kind of quickly recruit and, yeah, here you go. Here's the, here's our company. Here's what we do. Small businesses in your market, so go out and start selling and bringing us some deals. You can have an unbelievable amount of an unbelievable gap between salesperson 1 and salesperson 2 in how they are out there representing your brand, right? You can have an absolute disaster in terms of trying to fulfill the junk that they will sell. Okay, if they do not have real clarity on exactly what they can sell, and then they go and bring you a client and they made some crazy promises about what you were going to do for that client, and that client now lands in your lap and you're responsible for fulfilling whatever they were talking about, either you're going to be in scramble mode trying to fulfill in a completely unscalable way, or you're going to have to tell that client, hey, we can't do that, and then your name is mud. Right? So you've got to be very careful before you bring those salespeople on to make sure that you're ready. So how do you get ready? There's 4 things. There's 3 that we're going to cover in this section, and the 4th is the compensation model. Okay. Number 1, you've got to nail down the specifics of your offers. Okay. If you let them, salespeople will sell anything that gets them paid. Right? Anything that they figure, hey, I just collected a check, that's all I care about, right? Because they're handing over client fulfillment to you. So if you let them, salespeople will sell anything. You've got to get very, very specific about what you're letting them sell, or you will end up in a fulfillment nightmare. Okay? You've got to give them the exact offer packages with prices, and don't allow them to stray. Okay, so there's a lot of you out there, I know, that still really struggle with, what exactly am I selling? What are my packages? What are my prices? If you are struggling with that and you bring on salespeople to sell for you, imagine the additional problems that that's going to solve, going to create. Okay, you are going to be in very serious trouble when you have them out there just completely confused about what it is that they can sell and what prices they're allowed to put on stuff. And so they just start making up stuff. Okay, you have got to be crystal clear about this. And you've got to put very tight boundaries around those packages. It's got to be, hey guys, these are our products. We don't have any other products. So when you're out there and somebody asks you for a mobile website, do you see a mobile website on this menu of services? No, it's because we don't offer mobile websites. So, don't say yes to mobile websites. Okay, and salespeople want to say yes to everything, and it's the fastest way to create a service fulfillment nightmare. Okay, the scalable businesses. Look at any scalable business out there. The scalable businesses out there are the ones that have very discrete product offerings, and they do not stray from those. Okay? Those are the most scalable businesses. Okay? The most scalable businesses, you don't walk into, McDonald's and say, well, I'd like a pizza. Come on, make me up a pizza. You're the biggest freaking restaurant chain in the world. How hard can this be? Make me a pizza. Right? McDonald's will look at you like you're cross-eyed. They don't sell pizzas. Why? Could they make a pizza? Of course they can make a pizza. They'll figure it out. But that's not their business model, right? They stay very specific about what they offer. Okay, you need to do the same. And you've got to make sure that your salespeople stay within the boundaries that you've set. Khalil, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, everybody got that, I hope. Number 2, you got to do the same thing for your brand and your messaging. Okay, you got to do the same thing for your brand and your messaging. Why is that? Because if you do not control the messaging, Who will control the messaging? A bunch of random salespeople. Okay? A bunch of random salespeople. So you do not want a bunch of random salespeople setting the messaging about your company. This is incredibly important when it comes to service businesses. Okay? This is one of the most important things I've learned in running service companies, is that the language that comes out of your salesperson's mouth is critical to getting the client started on the right foot with your service team. Okay, this is one of the most important things that we figured out, is that we had to have our service fulfillment team work very closely with the salespeople to make sure that the salespeople were using the right language about our services when they are out there answering questions with clients. Okay, because when you're selling products, okay, if I'm selling you a widget, and the widget comes in red, blue, and black, and it comes with, either one leg, two leg, or three legs, right? There's only so many things I can screw up as a salesperson there, because it's a widget. It's a widget, and it's got three colors, and it's got three options, for how many legs it comes with. And as a consumer of that product, you can look at it, you can touch it, you can feel it, you can see the different colors, right? There's only so much to screw up. But in a service business, theoretically, there are no boundaries. So when somebody asks a question about, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? How do you do this? How do you do that? If you leave it up to the salesperson to just wing it, because they don't have specific messaging about how they're supposed to answer those questions, you're in big, big trouble. Okay? And you can start, just start with basic questions like, how long have you been in business? What other businesses do you do this for? Okay? Do you do SEO? Why or why not? Just basic questions like that. If you don't have that stuff scripted and you leave it up to a salesperson who has no training on that to go out there and answer those questions, and now you've got several of them that are 100% commission that are out there running around town trying to sell on your behalf, you're in big, big trouble. Okay? So you want to give them the collateral that they can use to represent your brand, the business cards, the phone numbers, the email addresses, the websites, right? The printouts of what you do, who you are, what services you offer, how they contact you, that all go into a nice little binder that the salesperson takes with them. That all needs to be constructed by you so that the salesperson just isn't out there winging it. All right? Proposal templates, absolutely critical. Okay? Proposal templates are, a proposal is essentially the bridge from initial sales conversations to actually getting them onto your service team. Okay? That document is the bridge to get them from one side to the other. It's the document that starts to outline specifically what it is that you're going to do for them, how they're going to work with you, what legal obligations, all that type of stuff. You cannot let the salespeople create their own proposals. Okay, you have to have a template that they follow that has boilerplate language that they cannot change. And the only thing that they should be able to change in that proposal is to put the client's name on it and to select the products and services that they're selling, and that's it. Okay? You have to control that. And then scripts with answers to important questions that they must learn. Okay, I would never, ever, ever let a salesperson go out and sell on my behalf unless they could tell me specifically the answers to my core questions about my company and my products. Okay? And I would give them 2 weeks from when they come on board to be able to do that. If they cannot demonstrate to me after 2 weeks that they can't memorize the scripts that I have for them and respond with the questions about my company, my products and services, I kick them to the curb. Okay? And that's that. All right? I see lots of questions coming in. I will answer questions here in just a minute. Let me get through this section and then we'll answer some, okay? All right. Number 3 is to determine the exact process They must follow to get paid. Okay, this is so damn critical, I can't stress it enough. Okay? If salespeople start just, bringing you a signed contract and handing it to you, and you start cutting them checks, you're going to be in big, big, big trouble. Okay? Because there is much more to it than that. Okay? There is much more to it than that. So, what are the things that you need? And that's the key. You want to design a process so that the salesperson must give you exactly what you need to be successful with that client before they will get paid anything. And you need to lay that process out, black and white, steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is, for those salespeople so that they don't feel like you're screwing them. Okay, you need to say from day one, hey guys, here's how you get paid. I need these 6 things exactly from you, and when I get them, you'll start getting paid. Okay, so what are those types of things? There are certain client details that you're going to need to be able to deliver services. You need them to collect those details for you. Okay, you need the payment information from the client to make sure that they get paid, that you get paid, right? You need expectations around when that client is expected to get started, things like that, right? The onboarding fulfillment process. You need, dates, times, contact information, all of that stuff. You need the signed proposal, the countersigned proposal, right? You need the first check, whatever it is that you need. You've got to make sure that you've got all of it clearly documented so that the salesperson knows, hey, here's exactly what I need to get paid. Otherwise, you're going to get into some serious disputes with your salespeople because they're going to bring you a signed proposal, but nothing else, no client information, nothing that you need to get started with the services, any of that type of stuff. And you're going to get into a real hot debate about whether or not they should get paid and whose job that is, right? So you need to have that documented very clearly before you ever get to this point. All right. The last one, number 4, is your compensation model. We'll go into that in a whole separate section here. So let me go back and answer some questions here. So Khalil asked earlier, says, Mike, I sell merchant services. Does all this apply to me as well? Yes, absolutely, Khalil. Everything here applies to you as well. If you're selling business to business with salespeople, all of this applies. Let's see here. Khalil says, how do you recommend that we look for these salespeople? LinkedIn, Craigslist, newspaper, networking events? Yeah, the answer to that question, Khalil, is yes. One of the most important things I learned from a sales management trainer named Jack Daly, one of the most important things I learned from him is that if you are a sales manager or an entrepreneur building a sales team, one of the maybe 3 most important jobs you have at your company is recruitment of salespeople. And what that means is that you should constantly be on the lookout for good salespeople, no matter where you can find them. So yes, posting on LinkedIn, Craigslist, newspaper, networking events, absolutely. But it doesn't matter where you are and what you're doing, you should be on the lookout for good salespeople. Okay, if you're out golfing, and there's somebody out there you meet, that's a great opportunity to start creating a relationship. If you're out at a restaurant and there's a killer waiter or waitress that is just phenomenal at their job, and you think that could transition to more dedicated sales position, then that's a great opportunity, right? You should constantly be on the lookout. Your competitors, right? You should be looking at your competitors and seeing, hey, who is it around town that's selling on behalf of those competitors that seems to be good, who's got a good reputation, right, with clients. You should constantly be recruiting. So literally, you should have your business card ready at all times so that when you meet those people, you can just say, hey, Khalil, you know what? I think you're doing a fantastic job here. I've got a business doing X, Y, and Z, and we're always looking for really good salespeople to join us, and I think that you have what it takes. I know, this is just completely out of the blue, so you may not be looking for an opportunity or anything like that, which I totally understand. But if you ever are, here's my, my number, here's my email, give me a call. I'd love to talk to you about the opportunities we have at our company. Okay, you should be doing that constantly. And then in terms of running ads for salespeople, yes, LinkedIn, Craigslist, newspaper, networking events. I've had fantastic luck on Craigslist. Craigslist and referral have been the two biggest sources of employees over the course of my career. Okay. Alfred says, where can we get a good example of a proposal template? Alfred, I don't know. The only answer, thanks, Khalil, I appreciate it. The only answer that I have for that question, and I hate to give this answer because I'm telling you, go buy another one of my products, but my R4 sales system, I have a proposal template in there, and that's a proposal template that I've always followed. But and I'm sorry, I just don't know another option. I've got to believe that if you get on the Warrior Forum or something like that, I know that there are JVZoo. I know that there's been some products out there that all they are is proposal generators for local marketers and stuff like that. So hop into the Local Income Lab Facebook group and ask people there. I would think that there's going to be some good answers there. I would hope. Okay. And then Alfred says, what's the benefit of giving your salespeople 100% commissions? So Alfred, I just want to make sure it's not that you are giving your salespeople 100% commissions. It's that you are paying them on a 100% commission only basis. Okay. So you are not paying them salary. Okay. They earn their living off of commissions only. That's what that means. Okay, we're not saying that you're giving them 100% commissions, of course. We're saying that in order to work for you, they are not getting a salary. They are only getting commissions. Okay, so let's make sure we got that real clear. There's a lot of sales rep jobs out there that are 100% commission, right? Or there's a number of them that start with a salary and then go to a commission only after a period of time. The benefit to you is, of course, that you're not paying salary. So they only eat what they kill, and so you can keep your overhead to a minimum. You can have theoretically a lot more salespeople so that you, because you're not paying the salaried overhead, and that gives you a better chance of finding the 1 or 2 gems out of 10, right? So that's the benefit to you. Alan says, do you use a sales manager? Yes, Alan, either you are the sales manager or you need to have a sales manager. I caution very strongly against you thinking that as a CEO, you are the sales manager as well. That will only work for a very limited period of time, okay? That will only work for a very limited period of time, because eventually, as the CEO of your company, you have to be doing other CEO responsibilities, and sales managers are incredibly valuable. They need to be on salespeople all day, every day, training them, managing them. So if you find that you are going off and doing all of your other CEO duties and neglecting your salespeople, then you need to have a sales manager. Yes, we absolutely had a sales manager at Qzx700, Alan. Justin says, what about hiring someone on Odesk to schedule appointments for me, and I only sell qualified leads and pay them 15, 20 bucks a day to make appointment setting calls? Justin, yeah, that can work. So that's an appointment setter, which is different than a salesperson. Okay, I've got a whole course on how to hire appointment setters too, but that is different than salespeople. Okay, so yeah, if you want to hire somebody to just set appointments for you, that's great. All kinds of pros and cons to that as well, but that's certainly a model that can work. And Montel says, LeBron is going back to the Cavs. I know, I can't believe that. It totally cracks me up. Okay, so let's move on to getting your compensation model down, okay? Compensation models. 100% commission is hard, guys, okay? 100% commission is hard. The reason why it's hard is that you are essentially trying to find an entrepreneur that doesn't quite have the guts to go out on their own, right? Or maybe they feel like they don't have the experience or the financial wherewithal or whatever it is to go out on their own. That's a hard person to find, the person that's going to make that gamble. And not only are they making that gamble, but they're going to potentially find out very quickly that, money isn't just going to fall from the sky. Okay, so 100% commission is very hard because finding those people who are willing to make that leap is hard. And then if you're not compensating them correctly, why would anybody stay in that position? So compensation models, when it comes to 100% sales reps, so critical. Okay, it is probably the most critical component of hiring a 100% commission sales rep. Because if you don't get that right, they will just be out the door in a heartbeat. So you could go through all of that process of recruiting people, training people, all that type of stuff. And if your sales compensation model is wrong, you've just lost them. Okay, so you've got to get this right. You've got to think it through. And you got to realize you're going to kiss a lot of frogs. Okay, you're going to kiss a lot of frogs. You're going to go through a ton of people before you find ones that really produce for you. Okay, at Everon, my IT services business, I ended up with about a dozen 100% commission sales reps selling for me. And some of those people made really, really good money with us. Some of those people we were selling for, we were paying commissions for years and years and years. Okay, but it took us a ton of recruitment to get those dozen people. And out of those dozen people, really only about 4 of those really, really were successful. So, you got to kiss a lot of frogs, okay? But compensation model is absolutely critical. Look at the companies that do this well, okay? The companies that do this well. So, you'll find 100% commission sales reps in some of the merchant processing industry, right? Merchant processing has some of this. Payroll management has some of this. Financial products have this. Who else has this? I don't even know if it's still a company. I think it is, but like the prepaid legal company was 100% commission, right? So the companies that do this really well have massive ongoing recruitment efforts. They train at scale, meaning they will spend, they will train, 1,000 people at a time in a huge auditorium, or they'll, do it all online or whatever it is. Carl just typed in that Reach Local spends millions on training. Yeah, absolutely. They realize that just 1% of their recruits will generate 99% of their sales, and the rest will just wash out and not actually do anything. Here's the issue here, guys. You don't have time for any of this. It requires a massive investment of time and money to do that. Okay? Reach Local, that's the reason why they had to go public, right? And why they had to raise so much money is to pay for all of this sales recruitment and training. Okay, they spend tens of millions of dollars a year on sales recruitment and training. So it's a very, very big, difficult, expensive process. You don't have time for that. Okay, which means that you're going to have to be realistic about, okay, I've got to find a handful of salespeople in my market, and I've got to find good ones, and I've got to keep them. I got to do what I can to keep them. Otherwise, this was all just a wasted effort. Okay, so if you're going to do that, you need to have a compensation model that works. You must have a plan on supporting them to help them be successful. Okay, if you find a really, really good person, you want to get that person making money as fast as you can and give them all the support that you can to get them there. Okay, because you want to keep them around. And your compensation model, I believe, when it comes to salespeople, in order to try and find a good salesperson, you must be able to show them a realistic path to make 6 figures. Okay, that's the magic thing for salespeople. Salespeople want to make at least 100 grand a year. Okay, that's just the milestone in their head. So you want to be able to lay out a compensation model that when you put together a little spreadsheet and you show it to that person, you can honestly, with a straight face, go, hey, here's how I can get you making 10K a month. Okay, 10K a month is 120 grand a year, right? If you can't show them that with a straight face, you're going to have a hard time recruiting any sort of decent salespeople and keeping them. So you've got to look at your compensation model and determine, hey, is this compensation model really going to get anybody to six figures? And if not, you really need to rethink your plan. Okay. Now, this is where I think that the local sales automation program was just off. Okay. And I would love for them to show me how, how I'm wrong and prove me wrong, because that would make my life much easier. But I think that this, 10% commissions, you get 10% commissions and you get them, as long as the client's here and as long as you're an employee or whatever, I think that's a recipe for disaster. Here's why. Okay, they recruit me. I'm an excited salesperson. I'm ready to go out and get it done, right? I come on board. I'm excited about this opportunity. I'm getting zero pay. Zero pay. Okay, I start prospecting. Okay, realistically, it takes me 60 days to sell someone. Okay, will I get somebody before that? Possibly. But will some of us take longer than 60 days to get someone? Possibly. Okay. Now let's say that was a $2,500 a month deal, which, as you guys know, in this industry, a $2,500 a month deal is a pretty good deal, right? Let's say it's a $5,000 a month deal. Okay. Either way, now I'm making $250 a month or $500 a month after 60 days of selling. Great, right? What does that salesperson say? See ya, right? They're out of there. Who can afford that? You busted your butt for 60 or 90 days, and then you get a $250 check? You can't even take your wife out to dinner, right? You're trying to keep the electricity on. So, Montel, yes, I'm recording this. So, that compensation model, in my mind, is just, it does not work, plain and simple. Okay, nobody in this industry is out selling 10 new deals in the first month that they come on board, right? Or if they are, they're selling deals where it's a one-time payment of $250 just to try and show you that we can do this or that. Nobody is out there selling good deals that are going to make good money at 10 a month, right? So if you were to model this out in an Excel spreadsheet, and let's say that person got to 3 deals every single month at $2,500 a month, and you had 90% retention, it's still taking that person a long time to start making a decent living. And by the way, none of you are going to have 90% retention as this scales up. Okay, 90% retention is almost impossible in a service business when you're scaling up, right? So, this model is very, very, very difficult. Okay, very difficult. This whole 10% commission thing. So, here are my rules around a compensation model that will work. One, you must have recurring revenue. If you don't have recurring revenue, forget about it. 2, you must have startup fees. Okay, there is a $1,500 startup fee. There is a $2,500 startup fee. Why do you have startup fees? To give that money to your salesperson. Okay, that can be a fantastic way for your salesperson to get a little bit of cash up front. Okay, but I still believe you must have the ability to do some sort of front-loaded commissions to reward them enough to make them stick around. Okay, you've got to do some sort of front-loaded commission to reward them enough to get them to stick around. Here is my model. This is ultimately what ended up working for me. All right, I would pay them 100% of the first 2 months of recurring. So if you signed a $2,500 deal with me, you got $2,500 month 1, $2,500 month 2. Once my cash flow was in a better position, I would cut them a check for $5,000 right there on the spot. Okay, that feels much better than $250, doesn't it? It feels much better than $250. Okay, so now they're getting a nice check up front. They can actually pay some bills. They can actually go, all right, let's go out to dinner, honey. I got my first commission check, right? Then after that, I would pay them 10% of the monthly. Okay, then after that, I would pay them 10% of the monthly. Okay, so that is a totally different scenario for that salesperson who's trying to make a living, right? So you may think, well, how in the heck am I going to afford to cash flow that, Mike? And you may have to work up to that, okay? You may have to work up to that. You may not be able to pay them 100% of the first 2 months. There's my little calculator. I'm going to show you some math. You may have to just pay them the first monthly payment as it comes in, then pay them the second monthly payment as it comes in, then pay them 10% after that. Okay, whatever you can do to upfront as much of that cash as possible, you should. Okay? Then pay them 10% monthly after that. Always, always, always have the ability to claw back if a client is a dud. Okay? If they bring you a contract and you front load that cash and that contract it turns out was a total flop, they completely screwed up the relationship with the client really doesn't want what you have to offer, that type of thing, then you have to have the ability to claw back that money, right? You're taking that back, you're taking it out of future commissions, whatever it is. But you only want to do that if it was truly the salesperson's screw up. Okay, you only want to do that if it was truly the salesperson's screw up. Okay, if you screwed up the service and because of that the client leaves, you should absolutely not claw back that salesperson's money. Okay, that's your fault. If you screwed up the service, that's your fault. You own that. If you take back their money, you might as well just kiss that salesperson goodbye, right? If they see that, oh, this is the way this works is, I come in here and I sell to, I sell a decent client, you guys screw it up and then you take my money back, see ya, right? So only do that if it was truly the salesperson's fault, all right? So the math on this, let's whip out the calculator, okay? For the first 2 months, so if I pay them the first 2 months out of 12, right, months, that's essentially a 16.66 commission, okay? 16.5%. Okay, then let's say I pay them 10% of the next 10 months, okay? So to make that easy, let's say it was $1,000 a month for the next 10 months, that's $10,000. So 10% of that would be $1,000, right? So if you add that together, you're at roughly a 25% commission, right? And then the 10% ongoing after that gives them incentive to help nurture the relationships, okay? So you take your 10%, your 16.5%, you're at roughly a 25% sales commission, okay? That's in year one. In year two of that client, it drops down to 10%. So now you just got back 15 points back on your commission schedule, okay? But you're still paying that salesperson because now they continue to have the incentive to take care of some of those relationships, okay? You can experiment with that. Sometimes in year two, you could drop it down to 5%. Sometimes in year two, a lot of people will say, no, I don't pay them any commission at all because I don't want them to build up too much recurring revenue and then just, sit around and play golf. So you can experiment with that, but that puts you at a 25% commission. Is that a lot of commission? Yeah, it's a lot of commission. That's a good percentage. But look, you're not paying that salesperson any salary. You're not paying that salesperson any salary. You got to keep that in mind. Okay. If you had looked at your Excel spreadsheet, again, if you do an Excel spreadsheet where you model out paying salespeople my way, or you pay them the way that you would have to if you had salaries in place, and you went out and you recruited, let's say, 4 salespeople at a time, and statistically only one of those is going to work out, and you were paying salary to those people for 2 months, and 3 out of 4 of them didn't work out, believe me, this model works out in your favor. Okay? So have a model where you can pay them more upfront so that the good ones want to stay. If you have a good sales rep and that sales rep gets paid $250, you're in big trouble. Okay? All right, questions here real quick before we go into managing. Rodney, my appointment setter course is called How to Hire Appointment Setters. Very creative name, huh? I think you can get it at the Local Income Lab store if you just go to the Local Income Lab website and look at our store link. I think it's for sale there. If not, email help@localincomelab.com. Okay. Carl asks, what kind of margins were you working with to do that? To do my model that you're talking about, the compensation model that I had. You need to have at least 50% gross margins, right? And honestly, I mean, if you don't have 50% gross margins in a service business like this, you really, really, really need to figure that out, and or you're in big trouble. Okay. And honestly, more, up around 60% is probably where you really want to be. And that's part of the reason, guys. I mean, I see so many people in this industry price their services so poorly. It's a disaster. Okay. It really is a disaster. You've got to have the pricing to make it work. Okay. And the margins to make it work. Does anyone, Dean or Deanne, I'm sorry, is asking, does anyone know Reach Local's sales commission model? Johnny, yes, I'm recording this. Does anybody know Reach Local's sales commission model? Hey, Mike, what about hiring a customer service rep to nurture relationships and give them the 10% so the salesperson can focus on the next sales? Yeah, I think that's a great idea. It's a great idea. Keep your, if it to some extent just depends on how you're selling and what your model is, but yes, I absolutely love that. So in my businesses, the way that I've always done it is that the salesperson, once the deal is signed, they throw it over a wall. We used to always talk about the wall, and that there was a wall over to the service team, and that there was a wall separating the sales and service team, and that when they signed a deal, it got tossed over the wall to the service team, and that relationship was now owned by the service team. Okay. So you can say, well, then, Mike, why did you pay them ongoing commission if that was the case? Well, I still paid them ongoing commission because it gave them good incentive to sign good deals. Okay, and you want your salespeople to have every incentive in the world to sign good deals. Okay, so if they can't sign, if they don't sign good deals, then the whole company is in trouble. So by giving them this reward of saying, hey, look, when you sign clients that actually stick around, you're making a lot more money with this extra 10%. Okay. Rodney says quotas in order to maintain that residual. Yeah, absolutely, Rodney. Yeah, activity quotas, sales quotas, absolutely. Okay. Keith says, I'm confused about how you got to 25%. Here, Keith, I'll just show you real quick. If you can see my calculator. I don't know if I can make this bigger, but if you can see my calculator. So 2 months out of 12 is 16.6%, okay? But then I'm paying another 10% of the next 10 months. So 10% of the next 10 months, so 10 months times 0.1 is 1, right? So it's essentially 1 more month. So now I'm paying them the first 2 months plus this month. So plus 2 equals 3 total months divided by 12. You're paying them 3 total months worth out of the 12, which is a 25% commission. Okay. Alfred says, do you treat salespeople as independent contractors? Well, yeah, Alfred, when I have them as 100% commission salespeople, I do, right? But if I'm paying them any sort of salary, then no, they're an employee. See, Justin says Reach pays 10% plus a 40K base. I interviewed with them a couple years ago. Yep, so they pay a 40K base plus 10%. And I'm sure as you get in there and you get successful and stuff, there's all kinds of, probably kickers in there and stuff like that. Tim says, what type of sales materials did you provide for your salespeople? Sounds like a training book and presentations. Yeah, so Tim, we had very scripted out sales collateral and presentations that they had to follow. So that was all created by us and given to them, and they had to use that and they had to practice with that and all that stuff. And then yes, we had a fantastic. I mean, I could probably sell this thing for a fortune. Sales training binder that was a big binder that over their first 90 days with us, we essentially had every day scripted out what they had to learn, what their homework was, everything. Super, super valuable. So, that again, you can wing all this stuff, but I'm telling you, man, you can just, you can get yourself into a world of hurt very quickly. Deanne says, to clarify, you pay 100% of the setup fee plus the first 2 months recurring and 100%, then recurring, then 10% recurring after that. No, Deanne, that setup fee would still be mine to do with it what I want. Okay, so I've done different models. So I have done models where the setup fee just gives you flexibility, right? So the setup fee can help me cover the commission that I owe to the salesperson. I can also let the salesperson have some of that setup fee. I can let them have all of that setup fee. I can let them have it only after they have meet their minimum number of sales in a month, right? So I can say, hey, Deanne, your minimum number of sales each month is 4. Once you get to 4, I'll start giving you 50% of that setup fee every deal after that, or I'll give you 100% every deal. So it just gives you some cash flow flexibility to work in either to just your normal commission payments or to give them extra kickers, right? So it's just always a nice to have. Sure. Keith said, by the way, this webinar confirmation said this was starting at 11. Yeah, Keith, I changed the time on it because I had some other things I had to take care of today. So GoToWebinar should have sent out a change of time notice to everybody. I'm assuming it did since there was a bunch of people on here, but maybe not everybody saw it, and I apologize for that. Alfred says, is that binder available for sale? No, actually, Alfred, it's not. I haven't even, it's funny, until this, I haven't even thought of that, although it certainly would be a killer product. So I'll go and dust it off and take a look at it and see if I'm willing to sell it. Thanks, Joe. All right. So any other questions around compensation? Okay, I just want to make sure compensation, guys, compensation is the secret sauce. Okay, and that's why when I saw just this kind of 10% ongoing thing, are there cases where that will work? Yes, there are cases where it will work. But I'm telling you that if you want to have a program that gives you an increased chance at actually succeeding with these salespeople that you're recruiting, you need to be much more thoughtful than that. You need to realize the dynamics of these people coming in and selling for you with no paycheck, okay? And there's a sales cycle to your products and services. You guys know this. You guys know that you don't just pick up the phone today and close deals by this afternoon. That's not the way it works, right? So you've got to understand the reality of the situation that they're in and compensate them in a way that's going to work, okay? So be realistic about that. Be thoughtful about that. Yeah, Joe says if you sell a $20,000 a month product that sells in a few weeks, it works. Yeah, absolutely, Joe. If you're, if you find something like that where you're selling that sucker over and over again, fantastic, go for it. So there is a reason Reach Local pays a 40K base, okay? Because they know. So, I mean, if you take that 40K base and their 10%, really, my 10% is their 10%, but now they have a 40K base. So you are making somebody earn their 40K base. So if you make them earn it over a year just to try and get up to 40K, I mean, who in the world would want to do that? I mean, you're just not going to find quality people that will stay with you. Okay, cool. Okay, let's talk about managing so you don't lose your shirt. Okay, this is a real important one too. I felt like I feel like again, there's this perception that, oh well, if I go hire 100% commission sales reps, then they're just on their own. They're just floating around there out in the universe. I don't have to manage them or anything like that because they don't cost me anything. Again, I think that is a recipe for disaster. If you want to have referral partners, okay, they're not your sales reps. They're not representing your company. They don't have, business cards or anything like that. They don't have the ability to say, yeah, I sell for, Local Income Lab or Kutenda. They're just, they're just referral partners. Then that's fine. Yeah, you don't have to manage them. Okay, but let's be very clear about the distinction between referral partners and having salespeople on your team. They are totally different things. Referral partners, yeah, you don't really have to manage. You should still keep in touch with them, give them incentives to refer you, remind them of your existence, remind them of your new products, tell them about success stories that you've had, right? That's why most people don't get enough referrals, is because they don't manage that at all. Referral partners still need to be managed, but at a fraction of what needs to be managed for salespeople. Salespeople actually have to be salespeople, and they have to be managed like salespeople. Okay, so don't think that salespeople don't have any cost to you because they're on 100% commission. The cost is the time and effort you're going to have to put into managing them, and it's the resources that you're going to have to put into their success, giving them business cards, giving them training, giving them sales materials, giving them a hotline that they can call for support when they're out at a client and they have a question to try and close a deal. They're going to need to be able to get a hold of you or somebody on the team that can answer that question for them so they don't lose that deal. Okay? At our business, not only do we provide all of that, we provided computers and phones. So they could come into our office any day of the week. We would have a computer there sitting there waiting for them to work with our CRM system in it. And we would have a phone on that desk so they could sit there and make calls from our office. So they didn't have to just work from home and try and make it work, sitting there in their bedroom on their bed. So we put a lot of effort and energy into making that work. Okay. It wasn't just, just sign up a bunch of people and then hope that they work. All right. So, if salespeople aren't producing, you should let them go and set them up as referral partners. Okay. If they're not actually selling all day on your behalf, then just set them up as a referral partner and just say, hey, man, I'd love for you to refer me business anytime. And I would love to cut you a check for doing that. So, here's the referral partner program. All right. But you can't have salespeople on board and just let them drift, okay? You've got to realize that there are resources that go in to manage this. You've got to find out if they are producers or cut them, because you cannot spend your time supporting people that are not going to produce, okay? It will suck the life out of you, all right? So you've got to develop strict requirements for things like when they must know all of your products. Okay, I talked about before. Okay, if somebody comes onto the company as a salesperson and in the first 2 weeks they cannot demonstrate that they know all of our products, that they have memorized the basic scripts, things like that, then can them out the door. If they don't have enough motivation as a 100% commission salesperson to memorize the scripts and memorize your products and make sure that they understand the details of those things, get them out the door. You don't want that person out representing your company to the public. It's only going to cause problems. And then you should have strict requirements for minimum activity and strict requirements for minimum sales. Okay, so somebody was asking earlier about they have to have a quota. Yeah, absolutely. They still have to have a quota. Okay, that was Rodney. So yeah, they still have to have a quota for both sales and activity. Okay, sales and activity. You want to keep them busy selling for your company. That's the whole point of having salespeople. Okay? If they are not going to do that, then you need to cut them. All right? So, my opinion, and this evolved over time, I got to tell you, I was way too soft and cuddly and fuzzy about this for a while in my career. Now, salespeople, the whole recruitment and management process and keeping them or cutting them, it's got to be like boot camp. It's got to be like, and not just normal boot camp, because those are pretty easy. I'm talking like, Navy SEAL boot camp or a Ranger boot camp or something like that. Okay. You want people that fight to make it, and you keep those people and you get rid of the rest. Okay. The weak need to go. Okay. So you need to have it scripted out very, very carefully with measurements every week. By the end of the first week, they must do this. By the end of 30 days, they must have met these requirements. Okay. You need to have it scripted out, and it needs to be no blurry lines. Okay. Just totally cut and dry. 3 strikes, they're out, right? If they miss on 3, and that can be 3 in any 6-month period. It can be 3 in any year. It can be 3 in not a year, 3 in any 6 months, 3 in any 3 months, a period of time less than 6 months. If they have 3 strikes, they're gone. Okay, and you just make it very, very cut and dry. At Qtenda, we had a 3 strikes in 30 days. You were gone, out of the company. It didn't matter who you were. Period, end of sentence. 3 strikes in 30 days, you were out. And those strikes included things like, because they were employees at Qtenda, not being at the office on time to sell, okay, not having enough contacts, right, activity contacts over the course of a 30-day period, not having enough deals done, okay, 3 strikes and you were out in any 30-day period, okay. In the beginning, I was too soft about this, and it cost me a ton, because here's the deal. Salespeople that produce. Those that don't make excuses. Okay, so if you buy somebody's excuses and you give them another 30 days, guess what? You just paid for another 30 days of their excuses, because I guarantee you they will not turn it around. At the end of that 30 days, they'll have another set of excuses for you. Okay? So do not screw this up. It will cost you a lot of money. It cost me a lot of money. Okay? Do not screw this up. All right? Salespeople that are going to make it will sell. They will hit the ground running day one. They will bust their butt every day. They will keep their energy high. They will keep their motivation high, and they will get after it. Okay? They are motivated people. They are motivated by money. They want those checks, and they go after it. Anybody else, cut. Okay? So again, do not believe that because these are 100% sales, 100% commission sales reps, that you can just let them drift. You cannot. They are sucking up resources. If nothing else, your time. Okay? And I say if nothing else, your time is the most valuable thing that you have. Okay? So don't confuse it just because you're not paying out cash to them that they're free somehow. All right? All right, that is it, gang. Where are we at? 11:10. So that is it. Those are the big lessons, the big insights, the holes that I believe needed to be filled around this program. The program has a lot of great stuff, a lot of great processes for you to follow, all kinds of good things in there for you. But to me, there's some holes there that are mostly just insights from experience of doing this stuff. And doing a lot of it, that if you're not aware of these insights, it's going to take you a long time to learn them, and it's going to be a painful, expensive learning curve. All right. I don't want you guys to go through that. So please take my advice. Okay. Joe says you need hunting dogs, not lap dogs. Absolutely. Dan says, do you sign with your sales reps a non-competing agreement after they leave? Dan, it's almost impossible to enforce a non-compete after they leave in most states. So yes, you could have them sign it. It's probably unenforceable. But by having them sign it, a lot of people will not break it just because they ethically feel like, hey, I signed something, so I'm not going to break it. Most importantly, you should have a confidentiality agreement. and you should have a period of time where they won't contact any of your clients. Okay. So those are the big things that you should have. Okay. Carl, yes, this was recorded. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. All right, cool. Any other questions, gang? I've got another 19 minutes here on the calendar. I would love to make sure that I answer any of your questions and get you off to the right start on this. Look, when I train people on how to hire salespeople and how to hire appointment setters, you can hear in my tone lots of caution, lots of words of warning for you, right? I do that only because I want you to go into it with your eyes wide open and be prepared. Um, it is a huge risk to you and your business if you go into this with this idea of I'm just going to kind of wander my way through this and it's going to be successful. Okay. I do not want you to think that, because that's not reality. It takes a lot of work. So I just want to make sure that you guys are well prepared, but do not let my tone of caution dissuade you from doing this model. If you want to do this model, having salespeople is, like I said, if you want to develop a real business, you've got to have salespeople. So you just got to go into it understanding it's work. It doesn't matter if they're 100% commission or paid employees. It's work. It's expensive. It's hard. Okay. So I just don't want to fill you up with a bunch of fluff. But it is a great model. And look, every business I've ever done, I've had teams of salespeople. Okay, so you absolutely should go for it if that's what you want to do. Rodney says, now that you've presented this webinar, I know I would not have wanted to pursue local sales automation without it. Thanks, Rodney. I'm glad that I helped. What CRM do I recommend? If you want a cheap one, Pipedrive I think is great. I think that Salesforce on the higher end, in terms of being expensive, is a great product. Okay. Alan says, have you ever had a fired salesperson go try and badmouth you to a client they got for you? Yeah. Oh yeah, Alan. Absolutely, that's happened. It's only happened a couple times to me, to be honest with you, because I think we've always treated our employees really well and really fair, so they don't go out and cause too much stink. I had one at Kutenda that I found out he left and was trying to steal some of our clients and was trying to steal some of my employees. He was like a 22-year-old kid, and I just called him up and I said, look, kid, said, you're a nice kid. You were doing good stuff. I'm sure you'll be successful, but you're not going to be successful at my expense. Stop right now, or I will have lawsuits, dropped on your lap here very quickly. And even if my lawsuits aren't actually, even if I'm not going to win those lawsuits, it's going to be super freaking expensive for you. So cut it out, and he was like, oh, okay. So you've got to nip that stuff in the bud. And you've also just got to realize, it's going to happen. It's part of business. That happened to me when I learned my lesson the hard way. When I was a 23-year-old kid, I went out and started my first business. And prior to that business, I had worked for a similar company, and they ran me through court just as fast as you could imagine. Man, they had lawsuits dropped on my lap, and nobody's, in 2 seconds flat. And at the time, I thought that they were satanic. Now I realize that's what you have to do, right? You have to do that. They were setting an example to the rest of their people that, hey, if you leave our company and try and compete with us, the best thing that's going to happen to you is a whole bunch of legal costs. Now, their lawsuit had no merit whatsoever. And because I was a 23-year-old cocky kid, I thought, well, no, they can't sue me because the state of California says non-competes are illegal. So, well, that doesn't prevent them from taking you all the way to court and making you hire a lawyer and lose your shirt in the process. Okay? It's a very expensive way to be right, which I found out the hard way. So that's just business. I mean, if somebody screws with you, you got to let them know that you're willing to play hardball. Thanks, Justin. Johnny says, are you providing with any templates or resources? What does that mean, Johnny? Am I providing you with any templates or providing my salespeople? Let me know what exactly you mean by that. Cherry or Sherry says, is there a minimum amount that our basic product should sell to be successful? So yeah, um, God, that's a whole nother webinar, and so I hate to just answer off the cuff and lead you in the wrong direction. But I'm just going to try my best here. I believe that if you are doing any sort of consultative service, so a service where it requires manpower to fulfill, you're talking to clients, you're advising them, stuff like that. If you're not getting at least $1,000 a month, it's a very, very hard business to make work. Okay. Um, can you have products and services that are less than that? Yes, but they should be really, really, really automated services. Okay. So I'm just going to throw that out there as, just kind of some rough guideline, but it is a whole additional, course there. Justin says, would you recommend Dan Kennedy's book, Ruthless Management of Time and People? Justin, not only would I recommend it, I would tell you that it should be an earmarked, highlighted, underlined Bible sitting on your desk every damn day. I think that it is maybe one of the most important, most impactful books you could read as an entrepreneur. Okay. So just to repeat that to make sure, because everybody's like, what? Dan Kennedy, his book, Ruthless Management of People and Profits, is actually what it is, Justin. Ruthless Management of People and Profits. I know because I have 2 copies of it, I believe, within arm's reach of me. I know I have 1 copy, but I think I have 2. So, do you market for leads for appointment setters to call, or do you buy a vertical specific list and call cold? I did both. So yes, I would make sure that I got them good qualified lists. That's another example, a perfect example of, you need to invest in these guys' success. Okay, if you're not going to give them good lists to call on, I mean, what's the point, right? And yes, we did marketing for them as well to try and generate leads for them. Absolutely. Okay. Deanne, great question. What attributes when interviewing to hire do you look for? Great question. Okay, for salespeople, um, and they covered this in local sales automation to at least some extent. I think they did a good job of it, right? With salespeople, you are looking for very competitive people, you are looking for money-oriented people, and you are looking for people that don't give up easily, right? They've got strong ego, is what we call it, right? They've got strong ego. And I don't mean ego as in they're cocky. I mean ego as in they have a strong sense of personality and self, so that they don't get rattled really easily. So that when they hear an objection or they have somebody hang up on them, they don't go and suck their thumb in the corner for the next 45 minutes. Okay. You want a salesperson that's, like, damn it, get that person back on the phone, right? So those are the qualities that I look for. Okay. And in my interview process, they recommend this in local sales automation, and it comes from Chet Holmes, famous sales guy that unfortunately passed away just here in the last couple of years, but really good guy, who his strategy for interviewing salespeople was, when he was having a phone interview with you, he would have a good conversation with you, everything's going well, and at the end of the call, he'd go, you know what, Dan, I'm sorry, but I just don't think this is the right opportunity for you. I really appreciate your time. And if you give up, he knows he just saved himself a lot of time and effort, because no good salesperson would give up. Right after having a good conversation about this opportunity, that salesperson's going, sweet, I think this is a great opportunity, and I think this conversation's going well. And then you pull out the, sorry, I don't think this is a good fit for you. A good salesperson would be like, whoa, what do you mean this is not a good fit for me? This is the best fit for me, right? I'm going to crush this, right? So I don't know what you're thinking, but let's stay on the phone here. So that's a process that we've always used. Okay. Do you have your salespeople prospect via email in addition to the phone? Absolutely. Oh yeah. Justin says, I just bought Infusionsoft. Do you think it is the best for the money? Justin, I have a love-hate relationship with Infusionsoft. So not just for a CRM. I don't think it's a good CRM, honestly. I think it's great at doing business process automation, and I think it's a great tool. I mean, we have it, we use it. But for a CRM, I would just have Pipedrive or Salesforce. Okay, so I'm not saying to get rid of Infusionsoft. I'm saying spend the extra $10 a month and use Pipedrive as your CRM. Okay. Your thoughts on hiring Filipino workers? I love Filipino workers. I have a bunch of them. I have several, a bunch of them full time. I think that you could hire Filipinos to do appointment setting and have that go okay. I would not try to have them do anything more than that. Just set appointments. Okay. The only reason I say that, it's not really Filipinos. I love Filipinos. I think that I outsource everything I can to Filipinos. The only reason I say that is I think that trying to teach them the complexities of doing a more consultative sales conversation over the phone, I just think that that's very difficult to pull off. Okay, that's very difficult to pull off when you've got somebody sitting right next to you in the office and you can hear what they're saying all day. So I would just have a very, very straightforward appointment setting script. It's like, hi, Steve, this is, Tom calling from Kutenda. My CEO, Mike, was hoping to have 15 minutes on the phone with you here. Is there a good time that I can connect you to? That's it, right? And they just need to be able to answer basic questions. Well, who's Mike from Kutenda? I don't even know who that is. Oh, Kutenda, does this. My CEO is just hoping to have, 15 minutes on the phone with you. When's a good time? Just very basic scripts like that. Alan says, how much contact do you have with your clients as the CEO? Don't clients associate with the one they actually know? Yes and no, Alan. So how much contact that I have as the CEO? So at Kutenda, I had almost zero contact whatsoever. At Everon, I had quite a bit of contact, especially at the beginning, first 2 years or so. I had a lot of contact because I was, the top salesperson. After that, I didn't have much contact at all. I mean, I was really just the figurehead. When there was a problem, I get called in. When I was trying to develop bigger business, I get called in. But that was pretty much it. So you want them to associate with your with your service team, okay, not your salesperson, with the service team. Are they going to associate with the salesperson to some degree? Sure, that's okay. But ultimately, again, you want that salesperson to hand it over to a service team. They should have some sort of client relationship manager, right, that nurtures the relationship from that point, okay? Chi says, did you use 100% commission sales reps for the mobile website recurring package you had last year? Thanks you guys sold it at $99 per month. For the mobile website recurring package that we had last year, if you're talking about the one that we sold at Kutenda, I think that's what you're referring to, Chi, where we sold the websites to our customers at Kutenda for $99 a month. No, that was with our sales reps. Although on that particular product, we had almost no sales rep interaction, and I don't even know if we paid any commission to our sales reps on that, actually. I mean, we just sold that via email, and they just had an order form where they went and signed up. Donna, if salespersons do not get recurring commission for clients with recurring monthly payments, or do you just offer a flat fee? Wait. Do salespersons get recurring commission for clients with recurring monthly payments? Yes, Donna. Yes. The reason, and I did cover that earlier, and you listened to the replay. The reason I pay them that is because I want my salespeople to have incentive to sign on good long-term clients, and getting that good long-term commission makes them really think about that. Okay. Does compensation change when prospecting an inbound lead versus an outbound lead? So I have done that in the past. So if I generated an inbound lead, then that lead would, instead of getting a 25% commission, they'd get a 20% commission to cover my marketing costs. Ultimately, I ended up just making sure that my business model reflected my marketing expense. so that I didn't have to worry about tracking that. I didn't want to be doing some crazy tracking where I was like, standing over the shoulder of our salespeople, making sure, was that an inbound lead? Like, did marketing generate that? We got to run the reports. We got to see. So the way I handled it was ultimately just making sure that my business model was comfortable with my marketing expense baked in there. Okay. Johnny, is there any related resources or support docs? No. Actually, I have one. If you're interested in it, I can share it with you guys. And it should be helpful for you. The only reason I say should is because it's not salesperson specific, but the idea behind it, I think, will help. So you guys are welcome to it. So we've always had what we call training passports, and the training passports, we would literally print these up in these little passport books. But this is just kind of the outline of it. And what would happen is, so this outlines everything that the person in a particular role. So this was for a support manager. So again, I don't have one handy for one of our salespeople, but this was a support manager passport. So what this is this outlines everything that they need to learn. This is days 1 through 30. These are days 30 through 60. And I think we have 60 through 90 on here. And so it shows in that first 90 days everything that they need to be well versed in at our company. It tells them who they need to meet with at our company. So you have to meet with Mike and Josh. You have to meet with Josh and Caroline. You have to meet with Chappelle. You have to meet with Chris. You have to meet with Caroline, right? And each of these people has to sign off on the little passport, just like a stamp at a passport, right? Has to sign off and say, yes, this person met with me, and yes, I tested their whether or not they were fluent on this particular product. And if they got my stamp, then that means I approved. If they didn't get my stamp, then they didn't approve. Okay, so this was this passport. So at the end of each week, they had to bring us the passport and show us, hey, here's everything I got stamped off. Here's what I'm doing next week, yada, yada. So it put the responsibility into their hands. And I'm a big believer in putting the responsibility in your employee's hands. If your employee can't manage to get this done on their own and bring it to you, so they forget or whatever, then clearly you know that it was a waste of time with that employee, right? So I'm happy to send out our passport like this if that's helpful for you, okay? The name of the Dan Kennedy book, here, let me just go ahead and chat this into everybody, is, here we go, Dan Kennedy, Ruthless Management of People and Profits. Okay. Nice, Justin. Justin says he's on his way to Barnes & Noble to get the book. Cool. Local marketing, Local One Marketing. Unfortunately, I can't. I mean, it's hard. Somebody named Local One Marketing typed in, if anybody's interested, I have a system that jumps recruits through a value assessment and disc assessment and is automated through the company I use, advancedhiring.com. They're awesome. It's cool. I don't know who you are because you put in Local One Marketing, so I don't know who you are to tell them who to contact. Oh, it's Ed. Ed who? Ed. Let's see here. Great. Ed at scientificsuccess.net. There you go. Ed at scientificsuccess.net. Here you go. There you go, gang. So if you want to talk to Ed about, that's okay, about the hiring process, there you go. Justin says, any good Filipino resources? I didn't have great luck on Craigslist Manila. There's that, what is it? Outsourcejobs.ph, right? I believe what it is, outsourcejobs.ph. We've had success with them. And really, I mean, the real deal is, Justin, I mean, if you're going to hire somebody in the Philippines, plan on, interviewing 15 people to get the one, right? CRM I recommended was Pipedrive. I'll type that into the chat box as well, Pipedrive. Arthur, yeah, it was recorded. We'll get you access. Johnny, how can you get this passport? I'll send it out to you guys, or let me see here. Yeah, I'll post it up in the Local Income Lab Facebook group. Okay, I'll post it up in the Local Income Lab Facebook group. You guys can get it there. Alan says we need another webinar. This one for getting and working with a great support team. Yeah, I'm happy to do that one, Alan. We're actually that's a good idea. Tim says seems like we need to have a sales process to give our salespeople. Yeah, Tim, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, look, if you if you don't have a sales process to give them, absolutely, you're going to have them flailing around out there. It will be a very big mess. And I guess I should have put that in my presentation. Have a sales process to begin with. If I made the assumption that you guys would have a sales process, but yes, absolutely. If you do not outline, here are the steps we follow to get a client. And here are the measures of our pipeline and things like that, you're in big trouble. The other thing that I didn't necessarily mention in here is you should have a CRM system that is yours, that they are working out of. They have to work out of your CRM system. Everything goes into your CRM system. Okay, so when they disappear, everything's in there. And when I talk about the requirements from the salesperson to get paid, if the CRM system isn't completely filled out about all the conversations that they had with that prospect, everything's not completely documented in there, they don't get paid. Okay? Because that's your asset. You have got to capture that information. Okay? Johnny, yeah, oh yeah. Johnny's saying it would be nice to share a model of a sales process. Yeah, Johnny, that's exactly what my R4 sales system is. Again, I don't, I'm not trying to get you on here to sell you other products, but yeah, I mean, the R4 sales system, no question. I mean, I say no question. I'm sure that there's other good stuff out there. I don't believe that there's any other better sales system in this industry and any more thorough start to finish sales system in this industry. I think I have the title for that. I think the R4 system is exactly what people need. So. Rodney, can you let multiple sales reps into your Pipedrive account? Yeah, absolutely, Rodney. You can have as many sales reps as you want to in there. It costs you money. I mean, you have to get them licenses, but yeah, you can get as many as you want in there. Okay. All right, gang. It is 11:34. We are past our time. I need to jump. I appreciate all of you being here. I appreciate you purchasing through our link, as always. That's always appreciated. Appreciate your business. Thank you, Deanne. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate it. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Rodney. Absolutely. Everybody have a great finish of your week. Have a great weekend. And we will see you around here real soon. Okay? Talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.